It is a great pleasure to introduce the International Federation of Social Workers keynote speakers. We have the Global President, Joachim Mumba, who is speaking to us from Lusaka, Zambia, and Ana Radulescu from Bucharest in Romania. Both these social work leaders have made significant contributions to social development in their own countries, regionally and globally. The first time I met Joachim in Zambia, he took me to the Empowerment Village. This is a place that social workers have helped to develop to support children who had been orphaned after the HIV epidemic took so many lives of their parents' generation. The village created an environment for families living in poverty and orphaned children to live together in new, lifelong families. At the entrance to this self-led community is a sign that says, "Every child has the right to be loved." The community works as a collective where both adults and children have a say, and together they have co-built a school, medical facilities, self-run businesses, and an environment where everyone thrives and has positive futures. It was a real joy to see happy children and hear of their plans of going to university so that they could learn new skills to contribute back to their new mums, dads, sisters, brothers, and extended families. Joachim showed me how social work supported community self-led development and how it transforms contexts of poverty and abandonment into situations of achievement and prosperity. Some years ago, when meeting Anna in Romania, I witnessed her work in supporting the placement of social workers in communities across the country to help facilitate community systems of care and responsibility. By placing skilled social professionals in communities, crime rates dramatically reduced. More children went to school. People used health facilities more effectively. Workplace productivity went up and local economies improved. In her address, she will talk about the social work principles that supported these significant outcomes and how they have been used in supporting refugee communities in the current context of people seeking safety after the invasion of Ukraine. Each of these speakers are practitioners. They have knowledge of what works in social development based on years of on-the-ground experience and supporting developments regionally and globally. They provide us with key insights which can be adapted and utilised across the world, bringing an end to the global challenges we face. I warmly welcome them to the summit and I thank them for sharing their learning with us.
Greetings from the International Federation of Social Workers, and I welcome you all, the delegates to the Global People's Summit. A few years ago, an NGO working in the rural part of my country embarked on a water systems project. The project team entered to one village and realized that cases of diarrhea disease were quite high. So without engaging the community in understanding the underlying causes of the problem, the project team set out to drill a borehole in the middle of the village. A few months later, the project team from the same NGO came back to check if the diarrhea cases were going down. And to their surprise, the cases were skyrocketing and community members were still drawing the drinking water from a stream located a kilometer away from the village. Asking the community why they were still drawing water from the stream 1 kilometer away from the village, where their animals drank and the whole community washed their clothes and bathed, they responded that walking a long distance to draw water was a kind of a therapy for women in the community. It gave them time to chat and share their problems, and moreover, that their forefathers used to drink from the same stream and didn't die of diarrhea. This and many other stories remind us that sustainable development requires a process of public understanding, participation, and agreement in order to achieve the results everyone seeks. Social workers all over the world play a fundamental part in this transformative process towards a sustainable future as co-facilitators of social change. Community participation in social work means that the people, families, groups, organizations, and communities in respect of programs, projects, or actions are integrated to achieve holistic outcomes. The People's Summit should therefore lead us to a place where we embrace the spirit of Ubuntu by influencing a global conversation, creating shared values as a collective for a new eco-social world that leaves no one behind. As the world emerges from the COVID-19 pandemic, in the midst of the climate change crisis, the role of social workers has increasingly become apparent in influencing new values that will shape policies and practices to ensure sustainability and good life, not only for human beings, but for the environment on which we all depend. In view of the fact that sustainable social development takes place when people and communities own and lead change, it is imperative to promote participation of community members in matters that affect their lives, as well as of enhancing a sense of ownership of the change process. In the process of change, social workers always start where the people are. We all normally say starting from where the client is, meaning he or she must have the ability to truly understand the person's story, the strengths the person has to take responsibility for life changes. This involves recognizing the strengths and dignity of everyone's skills in creating change. So when people who make up our communities have such respect from family, friends, neighbors, their communities and authorities, they thrive, build mutual reciprocal relationships, and work together to face complex problems for the benefit of everyone. Community members should always be regarded as a resource and not as a problem or beneficiaries of interventions by the so-called experts. The core building of this summit has already demonstrated that through deliberate efforts to forge partnerships, new value systems that promote a fair world, a world that respects the rights and dignity of all peoples, a world that takes into account the rights of the present and the future generations. We have learned over the years through experience that our practice skills are shaped by our continuous learning from our environments and from the wisdom of people and their communities. We have also learned to break down the silos between different professions and individual interests to create holistic, sustainable outcomes. This has therefore taught us that when people who make up our communities have reciprocal respect with practitioners, we together thrive, build mutual relationships, and work together to face complex problems for the benefit of everyone. The social work contribution to this summit highlights the transfer of decision-making from distant bureaucratic authorities to people. This deeper form of democracy is necessary to find sustainable solutions to the local and global challenges of inequality, poverty, climate change, and pandemics. It is only through working together with a common principle of leaving no one behind that we can ensure a future for each and all of us. This vision is based on the global social work experience of what works, of what transforms poverty and marginalization into systems where people are actively contributing to others, ensuring that these and future generations are safe, confident, and our environments and planet is sustainable. I now pass on the remainder of this keynote address to the IFSW Global Vice President, Anna Radulescu.
Thank you, Joachim. I will talk about how we are using the principle of social work when helping communities directly affected by the war in Ukraine and building partnerships to respond to the needs of the displaced people in our countries. The first phase involves setting up social work teams along the border to Ukraine on the main refugee transport routes. The work of these social work teams has been complex. In many countries, there were no plan for this situation as refugees arrived at the border under extreme urgency without clothes, food, medication, or plans for their journey. The international learning of the social work profession was invaluable for advancing an immediate response regarding their social rights and support during such a difficult rescue trip. The social work teams, in partnership, quickly organized for the collection, transportation, and direct distribution of clothes, medicine, and food at the border and along the key points in the refugee journeys. Where possible, they coordinated complex government and NGO support at the hotspot to align action based on the right and the needs of displaced people. For social workers, the priority were connected with the right to be safe, to be treated with dignity, and to create a condition which empowered them to take their own decisions and make their own informed plans for the place to settle. For many refugees, this has meant they get the support to find work and for their children to be at school in the asylum countries. Social workers responded by successfully promoting temporary legal status for refugees. They work with employers, schools, hospitals, and in communities to build understanding and joint action between the refugee services and community involved. An additional challenging aspect of this phase has been eliminating organizing crime and attempts to traffic children and vulnerable isolated refugees. Social workers put in place many checks to expose and remove the risk for trafficking and advise refugees to never give their passport to anyone, as well as encouraging them to form peer online groups, to stay in constant contact with each other, reporting their whereabouts and any concerns. The second phase has involved the logistical challenge of getting medical, food, and other supplies into Ukraine. Teams of volunteers in the distribution countries, as well as drivers willing to work under work conditions, have been involved. To manage this complexity, social workers have built high trust and relationships at each point of the distribution system, and in many places, refugees and displaced people themselves are volunteers working alongside their communities. The third phase is now to co-build a new social system in Ukraine that provides sustainability, peace, and well-being for everyone. Throughout the global experience, IFSW has developed significant understanding about the strength of communities to support each other in war zone and to rebuild social support system after the conflict has stopped. When I was in Ukraine, in the Kremenets-Podilsk district that hosts 30,000 displaced people, the officials of the province and communities have deeply appreciated IFSW support, advice, and partnerships. Their desire is for the refugees to return to vibrant communities that support each other and have strong positive future. I would like to read you a statement from the head of the Kamenets-Podilsk district, Mr. Shimanchevich. We admire your warm hearts and openness to our people every day. Your support inspires victory in such a difficult time. Ukrainians appreciate your every courageous speech, every charity step, every post on social networks that spread the truth and encourage the fight against Russian occupiers on various fronts. After all, Ukraine is fighting the enemy not only for its own freedom but also for the values and the rights to a peaceful life of the entire democratic world. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. This work is based on key values which are critical to social transformation. These are self-led development, identifying and developing strength, respect, dignity, harmony, social justice, diversity, belonging, reciprocity, and equity, love and care for the people and the planet, responsibilities and right, togetherness, accountability and community, solidarity, equality, inclusion and collaboration. Thank you very much, and back to you, Joachim.
Thank you so much, Anna. We thank and acknowledge the IFSW European region, who have made a huge difference to people's lives at the borders, in the asylum countries, and now beginning in Ukraine. Equally important are the other IFSW members in other parts of the world who have raised funds and demonstrated global solidarity. The Federation will continue to develop partnerships in this and other war zones, recognizing the strengths and aspirations of people under significant challenge. In all our work, we will bring our global expertise in supporting communities and countries, building hope and rebuilding new systems that foster peace and security for everyone. We thank you.